Okay, so have you ever designed your own vector letters and then got stuck looking for an easy way to transform those letter designs into a real working font? Yep, me too. That's why in this video that is in partnership with FontSelf, I'm going to show you the best add-on for Photoshop and Illustrator to help you create your own custom fonts.
Once upon a time, there was a designer, and he loved designing letters. It was fun and creative, but he always hit the same roadblock.
How can I turn my magnificent letter designs into a real working font?
The designer knew of the software out there already, but it was daunting, expensive, and hard to learn.
Then he started using FontSelf. The end.
And now I'm going to show you just how easy it is to transform your font design into a real working font in, let's say, under 30 seconds.
Congratulations, you've already designed your letters and they are magnificent. Now you're ready to drag your letters directly into the FontSelf panel. Click the Smart button, select your preferences and continue by selecting the Smart Spacing and Kerning button. Click Install and give your font an incredible name. There we go, done. Your custom font can now be used as live text.
Okay, so that happened pretty fast. So let's just rewind a bit and go through the entire process in a bit more detail.
Rightio, so we're now in Adobe Illustrator and you can see I've created a new document. The size of this artboard is 1000 pixels wide and 1000 pixels high, and I'm also wearing pajamas if you're interested. So what I'm going to do first is just acknowledge this alphabet down here. Now if I just zoom in so you can see, these are actually the letters from my logo. So I designed the Dansky logo a little while ago now, and then I built this out into a font. So I have a lowercase, uppercase, and there are also actually some numbers and punctuation like full stops, question marks, exclamation marks, that kind of thing. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to create your own letters, but we'll come back to this bit and I'll show you how to turn this all into a fully working font using FontSelf. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to go and create a shape. And that shape is a rectangle. Not particularly interesting. However, if you want to create letters this way, this is absolutely viable. Although for me personally, I prefer to create with lines, so using the line tool, the arc tool, the pen tool, things like this, just so you get those nice smooth curves. And if you follow my work at all, you'll know that I like my geometric shapes and my perfection. I'm very much a perfectionist when it comes to my design work. So you'll see here at the moment I've created a quarter segment and we have no fill or stroke. So I'm just going to double click on the stroke. We'll give this a color black. And then from the stroke panel on the right, if you don't see this by the way and you are on an older version of Illustrator, go up to Window and you get all of the different panels here, including stroke. However, because I'm on the latest version of Illustrator CC, I've got the properties panel over here, which is contextual. And for some reason, my color has gone back to white. So I'm just going to change this back to black. There we go, much thicker line. And what I can do is I could hold Alt or Option and drag to duplicate this, hover over here, rotate, hold Shift to snap that rotation. And you can see these nicely snap together. I've got these smart guides here popping up all over the place. Go up to View, down to Snap to Point, keep that turned on. Have your smart guides turned on as well. If it doesn't snap, just zoom in nice and close. And it's always a good idea to go into outline mode, which is Command or Control Y. And you can see we've got a tiny bit of overlap here. Shame on you, smart guides. Boom. There we go. Now the main selection tool is great for selecting shapes. However, the direct selection tool here is great for selecting anchor points. So I can drag over these two anchor points that are touching, go to Object, down to Path and select Join. Now when I select this with the main selection tool, I've created one shape out of these two quarter segments. So now I can come out of outline mode and then just grab the pen tool, drag this down holding Shift. It wants to continue that line, press Escape or go up to Select, Deselect. And we'll carry this down here. And then I'm going to do one right across the middle. Hey, I've created an A. Now this is a giant A for this artboard. Your letters don't need to be this big. Now I like creating my letters as strokes because then I can adjust the width of those strokes like so. Makes it easier to make a lighter, regular, a bold, an extra, super, uber bold, if you like, once you've created the main letter forms. So there's an A that I've created. That's great, I guess. And then what I can do is I could maybe use the ellipse tool. Illustrator's going to remember that width. And then I can go and use the various line tools, pen tools, and then start generating additional letters. And then I can select these and bump up that stroke like so. Fantastic. Now at the moment, I'm just showing you how to create letters. What I can also do is go to View, down to Rulers, and select Show Rulers. And you've got the shortcut there. And if I drag from the top, you can see that I can create some guides, and I would definitely do this properly for my own font, and I would encourage you to do this as well, and then you can just line everything up with the guides properly. There we go. And we can also go up here, down to guides, and then we've got the shortcut here to hide and show the guides. And you can also lock them or unlock them as well. So I'm going to hide them, and we'll hide the rulers as well. So that's one way that you can start creating letters, and that is generally, albeit with a little bit more precision, time and care, that is how I created the Dansky font that you can see down here. However, we can also create our own fonts by using pencil and paper. Old school, I know. Now, what I've done here is you can see I have a JPEG. Let's pop that in the center. This is something that I drew on the iPad, so you could use the iPad with the Apple Pencil. You can draw pencil and paper. You can take a photo of it top down, get that into Illustrator that way. Or if you're fancy, use a scanner. So design all your letters or a few letters, scan them in, get them into Illustrator. And I've opened this in a new document here. Now just go to File and down to Place, navigate to the image of your font, whether it's from phone, scanner, tablet, wherever it's from. This is just basically a JPEG, a flat image. So what we're going to do with this is select it first, go to Object, down to Image Trace, and select Make. And Illustrator kindly warns us that this might be quite slow because these letters are massive. So we're just going to click OK. That's absolutely fine. Giant letters are cool. And it looks very similar. Because I drew this on a tablet with an Apple Pencil, the lines are going to be very clean, but if you've done something hand-drawn, it might look a little different. Essentially, what Illustrator has just done is convert your drawing, whether it's hand-drawn or tablet-drawn, into a vector graphic. So now you can scale it to any size without a loss in quality. Now there's also a panel over here. This is the Image Trace panel. Remember, go to Window, down to Image Trace. There you go. And we get lots and lots of options here. Now we can tinker around with the threshold. You probably won't see much difference in this example because it's already pretty clean. You might see a slight difference, but if you've got a hand-drawn drawing, increasing the threshold will retain more of the detail, and if you bring it down, there will be less detail. And you've also got the Advanced tab here where you get a lot more settings. So you can tinker with all of these, make sure preview is checked at the bottom, and you get a real-time preview of how your letters are being traced. So once you're done and you're happy, go up to Object and down to Expand. Leave Object and Fill selected and click OK. There we go, this is all final. Now, this next step is quite important, and the reason I've created a separate document, because this is where things can go a little bit wrong. So if I jump into outline mode, remember that's Command or Control Y, you'll see it looks like this. Now, this bounding box around the edge, that is going to cause some problems. And if I select this, go to Object, Ungroup, you've got the shortcut over here, and I'll just ungroup this all a few times. If I move the D around, for example, we get this kind of weirdness happening, and that is no good. So the way that I get around this is by adding all of this into a new document, doing the trace in a new document, and then just grabbing the Magic Wand tool, making sure I Magic Wand select the black, and you'll know it's done correctly because you'll see black over here as the fill in the color picker. And then what I do is go to Edit and Cut. This will remove it from the document, but also copy it to the clipboard. And if I jump back into outline mode or just hover over this image here, you can see we have all these random anchor points, these artifacts left behind. We're going to drag over everything and press Delete or Backspace to remove it. Go to Edit, down to Paste in Place, and boom. We have only our letters, no unnecessary anchor points, and this is just going to reduce the chance that you're going to have any problems and keep things a lot simpler when creating your font. Now these are all individual items, which is great because we don't want to group them together. So I can drag over these and then go to Edit and Copy, jump back to the main document, go to Edit and Paste, or Paste in Place, paste it wherever you like. So there we go. We have 3 letters. And I drew these literally just now before recording this video. These are very, very hand-drawn and not the best. I'm sure you can do much better, but they will serve the purpose so I can demonstrate FontSelf. So once you have FontSelf installed, go to Window, down to Extensions, and you've got FontSelf Maker here. And then click this, and you'll get this panel here. You can see I've docked mine here. Now I'm actually going to expand mine for the rest of this tutorial. We'll just shift that over there, just so you can see what's happening. And once you've created your font, you've expanded your letters, everything is all good. Just select all of these different objects, so 3 individual objects here, and drag them in. Now I don't have 26 letters or 10 numbers, so I'm just going to drag the characters down here. So as it says, this can be letters, numbers, accents, punctuation, etc. There we go, so we've got the 3 letters. Now sometimes FontSelf will recognize what the letters are. If it doesn't, that's fine. Just click in this box and just help it along. There we go, D-A-N. Now I've got this and I can just type up here those 3 letters. Those are the only letters that I have in this font. And I must just show you this because I absolutely love this. If you hover over New, look what the tooltip says. Really? Need help on this one? These guys are so cheeky. I love it.
And basically, it's that easy to get your hand-drawn letters into FontSelf. However, I'm going to do the next bit with an entire alphabet and show you some of FontSelf's other features.
So let's go ahead and click New. Yes, we'll create a new font. And then what I can do is simply just grab the main selection tool, drag over my letters. And I'm going to do this with the lowercase alphabet, drag it here. Now, if you do have 26 letters exactly, then you can just drag it here onto lowercase. And you can see FontSelf identifies all of the different letters. But like I say, if it doesn't, just give it a helping hand and pop the respective letter in here. And then I could go through and do this with my uppercase letters, my numbers, punctuation, but I'm actually going to show you how to open a font. So anything you've made with FontSelf, you can go here. We will open this. There's a few fonts that I've made already. So we'll go to my desktop tutorial and we have Dan Sans, my first working font. Click open and there you go. So you can see all of the different characters down here. If I just scroll up and down, and I can go in here and type something. Quick brown fence jumps over the lazy fox, or is it dog fence? I can't even spell. Let's get rid of that. So there is the font. We can adjust the letter spacing by using the plus and minus here. We've got line spacing, scale, so we could make them bigger or smaller. For me, for the most part, I just leave them all set at the default. And we've got some advanced options here as well. So you can see we have spacing selected here. So we can adjust the spacing for all of our letters or glyphs. You can then preview them in here so you can see how different things look and all the spacing. You've then got kerning over here as well. So you've got kerning for your pairs and kerning for your groups. Kerning is the spacing between letters, but also specific letters. So the spacing between let's say a T and a Y is quite different to an O and an A. And you can see that a lot of my spacing looks pretty good. And whilst I'd love to take credit for this, I can't, because if I go home, essentially what I've done is imported all of my glyphs, my characters, and I've gone down to Smart. And you click this and it says space and kern all your glyphs in one click Yes, that's right, you can literally do this automatically in one click. And believe me, I spent several hours doing this before this feature even existed. It took me hours and it still wasn't as good as what this does now. So you can adjust the maximum space you'd like around any vertical shapes. And it also says that this feature is still in development, but I've got to be honest, it's incredible. So, Smart Space and Kern, boom, done. And it says down here, you just saved 12 hours and 25 minutes. No, FontSelf, let's be real. You just saved me an entire week trying to do this myself. And I like this, it tells you exactly what it's done as well. So there you go, that's pretty impressive. Look at that. Wow, the quick, smart metrics jump over the lazy designer. I'm not lazy, I'm just terrible at kerning. And even once it's done all that, you can go back into advanced and you can see exactly what it's done here. So this gives you a massive head start, and then you can go in there and tweak things if you want to. So you get full control over everything with FontSelf, but if you are lazy or you just find kerning and spacing too challenging like myself, then you have the smart spacing and kerning option there. Okay, so a few other things that are really useful. Font infos. You can credit yourself up here. You can choose whether the style is regular, bold, italic, all that good stuff. You can give your font family a name. You can copyright it, trademark it. You can say who it's manufactured by. All this stuff here, very useful. Let's go back. Down in the bottom left corner, we can change a few things like the glyph background, so we can preview it slightly differently on a dark background, transparency, or white. We can also adjust the live preview over here with the cog. We can center our text. We can make it bigger so we get a nice big preview. And again, we can adjust the background, see how it looks on a darker background or a transparent background. But for the most part, I just leave this as is. And if you do get stuck, you've got a chat option down here. Hi Daniel, ask us anything. And you can start a conversation or search for an answer here. So if you do get stuck with anything, these guys are right here to help you, which is awesome. So once you've done everything, you've created your font, you can then go to install. And you can see the tooltip here says for Illustrator only. So this is like a temporary install just for Illustrator so you can try out your font. If you want to save this as an OTF, go to save, you can give it a name and save it there. So I'm going to go to install, and you can see this font already exists. So if I go and just change that name, so we'll call it something different, Fantastic Font. There we go. Go back to home, install, and there we go. Now, if you don't give this a name, it'll just ask you to name it there and then. And what I can do now is click here, type some text, maybe throw in a bit of lorem ipsum if you have it to hand. And then from Illustrator's character dropdown, I can search for Fantastic Font, press return, boom, there you go. The text is now editable and I can type whatever I like. And you can see everything is automatically spaced and kerned brilliantly. And if you want to make any changes to your letters, your characters, your glyphs, you can do that here. You can adjust the spacing. Just go to install again, click install, and it will update any changes within your document. And as I say, when you finish and you maybe want to distribute this, share it with someone, you can go up to save and it will actually save that as a font file. Now you can also go up here to the menu icon in the top right corner and you get a few useful things here if you're interested. But now we've finished our font, it's all done, we're going to catapult it. So we've got this option here. And as it says in the description, you can use your font online with FontSelf Catapult. So we'll click this. Yes, your font has been catapulted. Here's the support from various browsers. So we'll view in my default browser, which happens to be Chrome. And there we go. So we have our font. We can change the text there in the preview. We can click on text. I love this. Exciting Times New Roman. You can keep clicking this and it will keep changing to things that at least I find quite entertaining. So this is quite fun. You can adjust the color of the preview. You can adjust the background. Oh, that is awful. Sorry, I do apologize for that. Let's change that to something a bit better. There we go. We can adjust the size, make that smaller or larger. Please help me. Please help me with my color choices. We can go and share the preview. Now we can also use our font now. And there's actually a FontSelf app, at least for iOS. There might be one for Android as well. I'm not entirely sure. But you can get your fonts into the app. You can type custom text, change the color, do all sorts of cool things through the app. You can share it on your website and you can give FontSelf access to use that there. You can share it on Behance, on WordPress, maybe in your newsletter, or you can download the web font and it will download it as a WOFF format, and you can use that again on your own website or however you like to use that particular font format. Now at the moment this is all private, but we can of course go to publish and we can allow public discovery and we can share our font with the world. And if I just scroll down here, you get a larger preview. Now I don't know if this is going to come through on the screen capture, but this is so smooth. This slider is like the fastest, most responsive slider ever. I love it. So we'll just make that a little bit smaller there. And you can see all of the different characters below. We have lowercase, uppercase, punctuation, numbers. And if I jump back into Illustrator, there we go. So we've covered a few different ways to create letters, drag them into FontSelf, easily use smart kerning and smart spacing, or do it yourself. And then once you're finished, you can save that font out or catapult it and use it online.
Now, if you'd like to see FontSelf in action with Photoshop, something a little bit more in depth that goes through designing letter forms, typography, best practice, that kind of thing, then definitely check out the Futures FontSelf video on the card at the top of the screen. And you can also download this fun typocracy book linked as a free PDF in the video description. And lastly, we're doing another competition and the prize is a FontSelf bundle for Photoshop and Illustrator. And the challenge is this: to design your own font with a theme of your choice. And it can be anything you like. The letters can be hand-drawn, they could be created as vector shapes, and it doesn't have to be like a real working font, because the challenge is it's more about you getting super creative with your own ideas for your own font. But if you are selected as the winner, then you can use FontSelf to just make it real, bring it to life, so to speak. Now the competition will be on Instagram and starts as soon as this video goes live, which is now. And any details like the competition end date or hashtags, that kind of thing, is linked in the description below. So there we go. That wraps up the video. If you'd like to check out FontSelf and support the channel, my affiliate link is in the video description. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe give it a like if you did. Take care, and I'll see you next time.